The Divine Arsonist, A Tale of Awakening. Written by Jacob Nordby. Read by the author. Chapter 2. I was splitting a fine cedar log with the hatchet. Pop! The gleaming metal edge sank into the wood, and two clean halves flew apart. I put the hatchet down and shredded a few handfuls of bark. I tore it into smaller strips and then worked the loose fibers until they formed a mass of rough, woolly tinder. I placed this into the center of the fire pit and rocked back on my heels. A woody spice aroma rose from the cut pieces. The smell conjured swirling primal memories of firesides that illuminated myriad lifetimes back to the mysterious void of prehistory. A few more easy swings of the hatchet reduced one of the half rounds into thin wedges and then down to beautiful kindling splinters. I took my time arranging the makings of my fire. The aromatic sticks formed a teepee around the tinder. It was good. I struck a match and held the flame to the frayed cedar bark edges. Immediately, glowing yellow-orange fire fingers spread through the tinder and thin blue smoke curled up between the kindling. I had fire. I sat for a moment and watched the flames take hold and race up the dry wood. The hungry infant fire spit and whined for more fuel, so I added a few of the larger pieces. These also gave themselves cheerfully to the blaze, and I moved my face back from the rising heat. I sat back on the ground and hugged my knees. The toes of my boots nearly touched the flames. Evening had fallen, and the back half of my body was colder than the front. I was yin-yang, dark light, cold, hot. A small airplane sound caught my attention. I watched the tiny blinking lights track its progress over the dark ridgeline of the hills. The sun was well down, but the moon and the first stars were not yet visible. From down in the valley I could hear mongrel dogs barking back and forth to each other on the porches of their owners' ramshackle cabins. The moment stretched out into silence. "Hey!" I jumped awake in the camp chair, confused. My whole leg jerked back hard from a burning pain in the sole of my left foot. Coffee sloshed over the lip of the mug and spread in a dark lukewarm circle over the crotch of my jeans. What the hell's going on? "Sorry to wake you up like that. Your toe was going up in flames," he said. I shook my head and squinted across a real fire. A man was standing there holding several logs in his arms. He stopped and dropped them on the ground within the circle of light. This was strange. My head felt ponderous and dizzy. I must have been asleep, but here was the same fire I had just built. In my dream. "Who are you?" I asked. He didn't appear threatening, and I wasn't in a position to be aggressive. Better go along and see what develops, I thought. He took his time about answering and squatted down to hold his hands out for warmth. He was dressed like a hiker, expensive Merrill boots, olive green canvas shirt, khaki shorts. He wore a weathered bush hat made of leather. 3 days' beard growth made his tan look swarthy. "I was hiking along that ridge through the national forest land," he gestured, sweeping his hand to the east. "Wasn't sure where I was going. Came through here and found you sleeping in your chair." "And the fire?" I said. The silent gong vibrated deep in my body again, and a prickly feeling crawled between my shoulder blades. He didn't answer and stared into the flames. Sure of himself, this one. He wandered onto my land, walked up to my house, and decided to light a fire while I slept a couple feet away. This seemed like more than just a case of confident behavior. He appeared sure that he was in the right place and on time for something. For what? "I came a long way today," he said finally. "When I got here it was getting dark and chilly. I went ahead and started the fire. Didn't think you'd mind. I went to get some bigger wood, and when I came back you'd stuck your foot in the fire. That's when I yelled and you woke up." I shook my head. "Wait, back up. I mean, it's fine you lit the fire, I'm happy to meet you, but who are you?" "You ready for this?" "Probably not," I said, "but that won't change anything, will it?" He laughed out loud and his eyes met mine. Even in the deepening twilight I could see that they were striking blue. He wasn't exactly handsome, but he exuded strength and charisma. When he stood up straight he had the lithe, powerful look of an athlete. You would notice him in a crowd. "I'm Lucius," he said. Not a surprise he has a strange name, I thought. Hi, Lucius, I'm Jacob. We leaned forward and shook hands. Yes, he said. Okay, time to get control of the situation. Lucius, look, I don't think we've ever met. I mix with lots of people, but I never forget faces. You'd stand out anyway, so maybe you could go ahead and enlighten me about what you're doing here? He laughed out loud again. His eyes and teeth flashed in the firelight. Enlighten you? Sure, he said. I know how you must be feeling. By the way, I'm not laughing at you. I just thought your choice of words was ironic. He sobered, and his heavy eyebrows drew together as he fixed me with his gaze again. There was no way for me to show up and make this seem normal. I could have been even more dramatic, really blown you away, but you're paying attention without that. Here's the bottom line. You and I have had an appointment for many years. We're both right on time. You probably don't remember agreeing to this, but I'll refresh your memory as we go along. Regardless of that, we have a lot to discuss. I'm aware this feels strange. In fact, I suspect you felt strange all day, maybe for months now. You have a choice to make, he shrugged. I can easily just leave if you want me to. I'll disappear and you'll never see me again. You can get drunk and convince yourself that it was all a strange dream. Or you can hear me out. If you have some food, why don't you bring it out here by the fire and we'll talk? The gong crashed inside my body with a booming crescendo. I felt ancient stone wheels that held the temple gates closed slowly start to turn as an incantation was spoken, moving, lining up, and falling into place. I was unable to move or speak for a moment. This stranger's words were improbable, but they made sense of the disturbing sensations that had brought me here today. The iron key had turned in the lock. I could feel the click run up my spine and tingle in my scalp. I'll go get some food, I said. It was all that would come out. He nodded, and I'll tend the fire. This is Jacob Nordby, the author of The Divine Arsonist. I hope you've enjoyed Chapter 2 in this Vodcast series, and I highly encourage you to subscribe to the channel Awaken Safely if you wish to be notified of all future segments as they become available. You can find more information out about this book at www.divinearsonist.com or search it by title on Amazon. Thank you.